It's Wednesday on Yourview. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Obiajilu Ugo. How are you today?
Hi, Happy New Week.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm saying the whole week.
Yes.
What did you give them?
I did nothing. I think the producers felt I needed rest for whatever reason.
Okay. We are going to pay back.
Definitely miss you.
You don't need any rest.
Honestly, I
yet.
don't. I don't. But I had a good weekend. So you see, now you have finished your weekend gist. This is when I want to start my own. I had a good weekend. And I watched the show on Monday when you talked about the Akada Book Festival. I was there, saw a lot of kids. I saw adults, and the conversation was like, we need to start telling stories. We need to start breaking down the stories so that children would understand, from our different perspectives. I remember when she came on the show too, she talked about, somebody talked about how she can teach her children finance. I say you can also put it in a storybook for children so that they can learn. So it was a good outing. I was proud of my daughter. She's a published author. I'm still struggling to find my way. But yeah, I was really glad to be a
proud
part of
mommies.
it. Yeah, what do we do now? My friend here was there. I was feeling so when I got there that day, because she came later on, everybody was like, where's your book? I say, it's not me. It's Miriam. Do we look alike like that? We get it a lot. Where's your book? I said, and I called her, I said, you would have just given me the books. Let me see if I had known.
How you doing, Nima?
I'm fine, no. Just, I'm a bit under the weather. And I'm just
Okay.
I didn't really sleep well yesterday. And today is the fidal prayer for Alaja Miriam Malo Mojimo. Honorable Olumiwa's Jimo's mother passed, and it's 8 days today. I hope that I can get there with all the schedule for today. It's important because he's a very close friend of mine. His daughter and me have birthday mates and so many common things I need to do. This one I must show. I don't do burials. I don't do, but I will show. I'm really going to try.
Good. How you doing, Mariam?
Fine. I had one interesting gist for people. I'm looking at the time for banter. It won't take you.
Go ahead. Don't worry.
Are you sure?
Give us.
Okay, so my husband hasn't been feeling well. He has his backache. He's been managing for nearly 2 weeks now.
Oh.
And my mom is beside herself. Is he okay? Is he this? She's just running up and down. Then she's telling me that, won't I put hot water and rub? I looked at her, I removed my face. Then she comes, she says, he's already planned to go to the hospital. I said, oh, he agreed to do the stairs. So she's looking at me like kind of
wife are you?
So I sat him down this morning, I was like, did you hear what she said? That did I ask you? He laughed. He said, she did not tell you that we'll chop your head off if you disturb me concerning my issues. I said, that's why I'm looking at her. So, perspective is important.
Yeah.
She is looking at me like, does not care.
But
I know that if I put my mouth in what he thinks does not concern me, I will hear it. When he's not feeling fine, he likes to handle it himself. Yeah. He likes his space. He does not want someone in his ear telling him,
what to do,
okay?
How to do it.
So.
It's respectfully understanding that his mom
Your mom wants you to be a good wife. That's the traditional thing.
I'm the wife. I'm the good wife to this type of husband.
Those standards, yes.
All right, let's go on a quick break now. When we return, we'll look at the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. How I will tackle inflation, Naira, Forex crisis by Cardoso. OPS, Speaker, others oppose Labour strike call. INEC fixes dates for Ondo governorship elections. Federal government needs 207 billion naira to complete 269 roads. Response to allegations, Ondo Assembly tells Aiyedatiwa. Obaseki asks Shebu to drop governorship ambition. Tinubu okays purchase of 12 attack helicopters. Maulud Nabil, President offers felicitate with Muslims, and how Abiodun is driving FDI through OGFTZ. Okay, which story are we starting with? Major headline, you have that?
Headline, yes. So Michael Olayemi Cardoso yesterday began his tenure as the 12th Central Bank of Nigeria governor, following its clearance by the position by the Senate. He promised to provide transparent and focused leadership with full adherence to the rules and return the Apex Bank to its core monetary policy responsibility. He also pledged to work in synergy with the fiscal authorities in the overall interest of the economy in short and medium term. So you know that he was a former chairman of the Citibank, you know, for a bit, and he said that he has the credentials to, you know, continue with the CBN. There were also other people who were screened alongside him. So 4 deputy governors by the Senate. All of them were also cleared. The governors are Mrs. M.M. Usoro, Mr. Muhammad Sani Abdulhai, Datijo, Mr. Philip Ikpeazo, and Dr. Bala Mbelu. And, you know, all of them were responding to the questions that were asked them. But there was something important he said. I hope I can find it. He says that he needs to refocus the CBN, right, to its core mandate. And there is a need to pull the CBN back from direct development, financing interventions into more limited advisory roles that will support economic growth. You know, the CBN has been putting hands into so many things of late. Now they want to focus on how they can grow the economy, see how at least we can give our Naira the energy it has, because the way the Naira is collapsing, I really don't know. People who have a lot of investments in Naira, I don't know how it's going to be in a few years' time if nothing is done. So they should focus on growing the economy like he has promised. I hope he will also break down how he wants to do this to the general public.
Because CBN was one giving money to Anchor's Borough.
They were into a lot of things. It's not their thing.
It's not your job.
That screening yesterday. I watched it for
I heard, you know,
but the Senate president was the most interesting.
Which one?
Are you serious?
He was using the screening to throw jibes at the former CBN governor.
Okay.
Oh, really?
That's how we appeared at the primaries. And we saw a CBN governor printing all the cards for his ambition. And he left the ground for the primaries back to his office. They were thinking and saying, I hope that you will not go and start choking hand in things that is not concerned. As in about 3 different...
But there was a question I wish I got the answer to. The one it was asked, somebody asked about all the multicolored Naira that we have, one brown, one blue.
Which one
which one are we doing? What, CBN, what are you going to do? Do you know what he answered? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
Okay, I would like to know
I remembered when the
question.
Senate president also told him that in other countries, no country in the world has ever changed their Naira overnight. But this one, though your predecessor tried to do it in 30 days, I'll be something days.
How possible?
And
the CBN governor did not work alone. He worked with a president.
But if he had insisted on his roles.
Let's take another story. So, Mary, you have a story?
So I have another story. Remember the feud that's happening in Edo State between the governor and deputy governor. The governor, we finally heard from anonymous sources that the governor has said he has agreed to reconcile with his deputy, Philip Shaibu, but on the condition that Shaibu drops his ambition to run for the September 2024 state governorship poll.
Why?
He said that Obaseki wants Shaibu to do so publicly or be excluded from all government activities, including the State Executive Council meetings, if he failed to do so. They said that Shaibu's ambition, that is the real cocoa.
There's a reason.
This is bullying.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, there's no reason for that.
It's the real cocoa of the feud between them.
No, there's no
reason. They said that the governor already has someone that he's supporting, Asue Igodalo, a lawyer from Edo Central, to ensure fairness, justice, and equity. That is his reason. And that this Igodalo is the chairman of the board of trustees of, where annual investment drive by the state. But as we know, Shaibu has insisted that he must partake in the governorship election. And they said that the governor has also been surreptitiously sort of moving Shaibu from sitting on in strategic meetings. So he would send him off for events outside the state, and then the governor will meet with...
strategy meeting?
It has happened.
No, this is a clear case of bullying.
I also didn't support.
And I don't think this should be allowed.
Governor's ambition.
For whatever reason.
But the present governor was able to win an election. The question is, can Shaibu win an election without the support?
Without the support. And
there could be remove your support now.
There could be back-end reasons also. We don't know. You know how some people come together and say, okay, it's your turn, I go first, then you go, depending on the state. We don't know the agreement that was reached before this position came in. Where
if I now choose not to follow the agreement,
and now
do you tell me to drop my ambition?
It's your civic responsibility actually to run.
Yeah.
That's bullying. Abiodun's ambition. No, in fact, he floated another party for his own candidate, but the governor Dakwa won on the platform of the APC.
Yeah. Shaibu has a lot of...
Can Shaibu
win?
Do the same
yes.
in Edo State?
If he feels he can, he's also...
He should go ahead.
It's not a matter of feeling. He should know.
Anyways, let me go to... Ondo State lawmakers yesterday have directed the Deputy Director, Lucky Ayedatiwa, to respond to allegations that's been leveled against him as part of the impeachment process. They insisted on progressing with the process without consideration for a court ruling trailing it. They made the allegations public. They said, number one, he needs to respond to the allegations concerning corrupt enrichment and waste of public funds, making false allegations against Governor Rotimi Akeredolu's health in the media, undermining the power, undermining the governor and causing disaffection, working at cross purposes with the governor, spending 5.4 million to buy tires and batteries for his convoy vehicles, using his position to enrich himself through unreasonable release of land for his personal use, purchasing automatic transmission box for Lexus SUV staff car as acting governor for 10.5 million naira. So many other allegations here. I mean, these are just quite interesting. I was governor for what, 2 days?
The court,
and he has already been accused of...
The court ruled against his impeachment process happening.
Well, this is just, these are the lawmakers in their own house trying to say you must first of all respond to allegations before they now bring this issue.
Okay, I have the story of the president has approved the procurement of 12 attack helicopters for the Nigerian Army. This was announced by the Chief of Army Staff, Taoreed Lagbaja, at the maiden Nigerian Army Aviation Seminar yesterday. This is good. I don't know the cost of the 12 helicopters, but I know that they need it.
Okay.
Especially in Zamfara.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our reviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing papers, moving on now to Punch. OPS, that's indefinite strike, OPS kicks as Labour vows to shut down airports and others on Tuesday. Edo Malud, prayer for Nigeria, Tinubu tells Muslims. We pray for Nigeria, Tinubu tells Muslims. Landlord baths 11-year-old with hot water. INEC unveils Edo polls timetable. Cardoso to clear dollar debts, suspend intervention loans. Fuel, car, others imports gulp $46 billion annually, says federal government. Okay, let me start with the major headline. The federal government has invited organized labor to a meeting in the for a last-minute bid to stop their planned October 3rd strike. The unions had come together, declared an indefinite strike with effect from Tuesday to protest the alleged failure of the federal government to provide post-subsidy palliatives for workers. But the Ministry of Labour, Employment and Productivity assured Nigerians it will meet the leadership of the unions before they shut down the economy. So the spokesperson of the Labour Ministry, that's Olajide Oshundun, said the meeting scheduled for Tuesday will be centered on the pronouncement that will be made by President Tinubu on October 1st Independence Day broadcast. According to him, they expect the president to state categorically what will be done concerning palliatives. He said that the Minister of Labour had met with them and said that Oshundun noted that the second major demand was the wage award for workers, which the Labour said that will help in mitigating the effects of the subsidy removal, that they will avert the strike if indeed the president is able to meet their demands from his speech on October 1st. So they're actually waiting for that speech to know if indeed the president has considered all their demands. And hopefully if that happens, they can then shelve the strike. If not, they're definitely going to go on strike on 3rd of October. And I think other organizations are actually kicking and saying that they need to continue to dialogue with the president and so that they don't shut down the economy as a plan on their strike.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a human interest story. A landlord identified Michael allegedly poured hot water on an 11-year-old girl, identified as Princess. So the incident happened Saturday in Mowe, Obafemi, Owode local government area of Ogun State. And after the incident, the sister of a tenant in the house, was the one who now narrated the story to the police. So according to her, said that even her sister wants to pack out of that house because she's afraid that one day the landlord will come and beat all the tenants, the way the landlord has been beating this particular girl, that every time they hear her screaming in the middle of the night, this man will be flogging her using cane, belts, different types of beating. And this young girl, that's Princess, is actually his daughter from an estranged wife. So he's been maltreating her over and over. The other time they asked him what happened, he said the girl refused to go to school and decided to beat her. So on this particular incident, the girl said she was hungry, she and her brother. So they went to tell the man that they were hungry. The man said, okay, put water on the stove. And he started beating her. When the water was boiled, he carried the water and poured on her, you know. But the police has arrested him. He's in custody now. Investigations are going to follow. The girl has been released from the hospital. I think these sort of men or women who maltreat, they are not okay, definitely. They need to be taken care of and treated properly. So that, and I like the fact that the tenants were crying out for this young girl. We can't see things like that and remove our face.
And there's still a punch?
I do. So INEC has fixed September 21st, 2024 for the Edo State governorship election. We'll see Philip Shaibu will be running, and that of Ondo State will be held November 16, 2024. And the electoral body said that this is in line with the constitution that stipulates that election into said offices shall be held not earlier than 150 days and not later than 30 days before the expiration of the tenure of the last holder of the office. They said the governorship election in Edo State is Saturday, 21st, 2024. Primaries will hold February 1st to 24th, 2024, while submission of the list of nominated candidates via the online portal will start 9 a.m. March 4th, 2024 and close at 6 p.m. on March 24, 2024. And then the final list of candidates will now be published April 3rd, while the campaign in public by political parties will commence April 24th, ends 24 hours prior to the election day, which is September 19, 2024. And also for Ondo State, the same process. The governorship election will be held Saturday, November 16, 2024. Primaries also April 6 to 27 of that year, 2024. Submission of the list of nominated candidates via the online portal will start April 29 and close 6 p.m. May 20th, all in 2024. So,
okay, another story?
The special advisor to the President on Economic Affairs, Tope Fasua, talked about the number of bureau de change operators in Nigeria, asking the federal government, the CBN governor, to reduce the over 5,000 bureau de change operators in Nigeria to 200. And in the same story, he also talked about how Nigeria spends about 45 billion naira annually importing refined petroleum products, milk, chemicals, fish, and among others, and cars. And he's saying that, you know, here the issue of scarcity of forex and how we all scamper for it is what is also coming back to affect Naira. Asking the CBN governor again to do something about that.
Okay, moving on now to Daily Sun. Tinubu moves to stop Chicago University. FG begs for more time as Labour meets to decide on indefinite strike. Seeking investors abroad, waste of time, says Peter Obi. No cause for alarm over fire incident, says Supreme Court. Tension in Benue as gunmen abduct commissioner and ex-LGA chairman. Ex-Kano Emir Sanusi hits APC hard, says government under ruling party has set Nigeria 40 years backwards. And tribunal dismisses Jandor Rosevival petitions affirms Sanwo-Olu's election. Any story in Daily Sun?
Yes, I have a story where the university confirms rescue of 13 students and 3 others. It was in the front page as well. So the Federal University Gusau Fugos in Zamfara yesterday confirmed the rescue of 13 students and 3 others who were abducted by gunmen September 12th. The university confirmed the development through their verified Twitter handle at official Fugos. And it was a remarkable turn of events, according to them. They said 16 individuals, 13 students, 3 laborers have regained their freedom, and that was thanks to the courageous efforts of the military. They also extended their heartfelt gratitude to God for granting them the strength and resilience to, you know, endure the ordeal. And the rescue operation was conducted by dedicated members of the military, they tried as much as possible to, show their unwavering commitment to the safety of their citizens. There was also the report that the Joint Task Force operation, Hadiri Daji, had earlier rescued 6 female students of the institution who were among the unspecified number of students abducted September 22. The female students were abducted from their rented hostels at Sabongida, about 200 meters from the university campus. The government also abducted 9 construction workers of a company, engineering services, and they were there in the university to execute a project. But we thank God that these people have been, rescued.
Okay, so the three-person panel presided over by Justice Arum Ashom threw out the election petition filed by the Labour Party candidate Roosevelt and the PDP candidate Jandor at the last elections for lacking merit. The party, in fact, threw out the 2 petitions for what they call lacking merit. The tribunal also said that all the issues filed by the PDP in this tribunal, before the tribunal, were all pre-election matters, and that they lack jurisdiction to entertain such. So the Labour Party candidate Roosevelt has said that they erred in law and he will be seeking an appeal at the appeal court.
Any story? So, okay, let's move on now to Vanguard. NLC, TUC start nationwide indefinite strike. Let's take reduce fiscal deficit by 3% of GDP, IMF tells Nigeria and others. National security remains precarious amid numerous successes. NGE commends Southeast governors on security initiative. Senate clears Cardoso, 4 others as CBN governor and deputy governor. Government shoot 3 Nasarawa police students, abduct 1. Live well, be happy. Death calls on us daily. Reflections on human flourishing in Nigeria. We didn't mandate anyone to negotiate with bandits, defense minister. We are committed to fighting illicit drugs, says Tinubu. Insecurity, FG boosts army operations with attack helicopters. And yeah. Okay, which story? In Vanguard, anybody?
No.
Not yet.
Anyone.
All right, so let's take Tribune. Major headline, Tribune, the Nigerian Tribune. How forex issues, inflation will be tackled, says CBN governor. Afenifere laments worsening insecurity. INEC fixes November 2024 for Edo, Ondo, Guba. Over 48 medical doctors kidnapped in 2 years, says NMA. Court stops impeachment of Ondo deputy governor. We have proof federal government holding secret talks with hand bandits, says Zamfara government. NLC TUC to begin indefinite strike October 3rd. Poor kitten. How state officials deceived me after collecting 20 million naira for games, says Oyebanji. Coroner's inquest into Mohbad's death begins on Friday. And that is all we can take on Front Page Review today. Let's go on a break. When we return, we want to the hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So during the presidential visit to the United States for the high-level meetings of the 7th session of the United Nations, one of the Nigerians in diaspora was seen trying to get the attention of the president, saying that the president should commodify the naira with cassava. We'll have the individual with us in a moment. His name is Mr. Ayodeji Bakare, popularly known as Bongali. And he'll be joining us in a moment. But first, what are your thoughts on this? Nigerians have had mixed reactions concerning the fact that our president has been going around trying to get foreign direct investment into the nation. Some have thought it was a great idea. Others are saying that, are you sure we need these people to come in? create industries and still export the dollar back to their country. So there are different angles to this conversation. But when this man came up with the idea that, you know what, why don't we commodify cassava? Of course, the video went viral yesterday, but we've been bringing him on to even give us a clearer picture of what his proposition is. But in the meantime, let's have a conversation concerning it. You can call us on 081-07641-679-090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourviewTVC so we can read the tweet. What struck me more about this video is the fact that he's not one of those Nigerians that are just complaining. He seems to have actually thought through solutions. One of those people that said, I don't have access to this president, but if I can just catch him and just get a glimpse of him to tell him, this is my own idea. I don't have to do a document and send to your table and hope that somebody will give it to you. But back to let me send it to him. And then with this, our guest that just left, the pineapple guy, that's part of what this guy is saying, that we have produce in Nigeria that can actually be exported. What are your own thoughts on the video, and how do you think the government should react or respond to this?
Ayodeji Bakare, popularly known as Bongoli, was around during the election, and he clearly knew where his support was. He stood by this president and he supported his ambition to become president. But he didn't rest there. He's one of those who have ideas on what to do. I didn't think of it until I saw the video trending on Twitter yesterday. People are using and saying, why didn't he use Agbado? Why didn't he use this? And then I went to, of course, Google things. And I saw that other countries have since moved out. The way petroleum has ensured that the dollar doesn't become a valueless currency. You know, and this arrangement was done in arrangement with the Saudi Aramco and using OPEC as a platform. We continuously trade our petroleum products in dollars and, enriching the dollar, strengthening the dollar as against our money. Somebody is now bringing an idea of what else we can commodify that will give us. Other countries have done it. I saw Brazil, I saw Malaysia, and sadly, Malaysia doesn't pay me well because it's palm oil. It's palm oil. The palm oil that was the strength of my region in the past, we did not even grow it. Now today, somebody else's country, sadly they said the fruit was taken from here today, but they've grown it, they've industrialized it, they've commodified it. And he's coming to say something that is common here should be used. And on Twitter, Nigerians is not seek to understand.
Before I let you go forward, if I come to you, Mariam, there was a point you said, which I forgot to talk about, the fact that many thought it was negative. They wanted it to trend, like the guy was disturbing president, was talking, so they had no clue. So for them, it was just like, there's a guy that was saying that you should commodify. They had no idea what commodification was. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, it's actually a good thing. So it went viral for the plan for the wrong reason was to let it go viral. But unfortunately, so what are your thoughts on this?
So for me, I feel that this is somebody that obviously is thinking about solutions. You know, many times we'll sit here and we'll say, we have heard the problems. They are not new to us. Can we hear solutions? And many times, some people that have come here as experts, when you try to hit them up on solutions, silence, you know. So it's good to find, I really like this conversation of where we're looking for solutions and how to do things better. So commodification of the currency as against cassava. I know nothing about cassava and how the exportation, the value is, you know, in the market. So if it is something that is that strong, so because you have to look for the commodity that has like a really high value, especially that is able to earn you foreign exchange, you know. So if it says cassava, I guess this would mean that the economics team will be sitting down looking at the different commodities, maybe even outside cassava, something that we grow exclusively or in very large quantities, that we export in very large quantities and earns us foreign exchange. And then government can now put in the necessary investment in that industry to earn us money. Because we are here struggling, you know, constantly to be able to have to make sure that the value of our currency is improved. Yeah. And many of the policies that we have put out there, Nigerians are struggling with it. And really, we're just trying to see how do we earn more currency. And if I look at it, everything else that we have tried, like what other thing can we do that will earn foreign exchange in such a short period of time that it will make an impact for us positively? So this looks like something that should be discussed with him and with also the economic team and see how it can work for our country.
So when I saw the video, it just reminded me of that lady in the Bible who wanted to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. If I can just, the crowd was so much, he was pushing. If I can just touch the hem of his garment, I will get my miracle. And this has opened up a conversation that hopefully will give us a miracle. But this is not a new conversation. I remember during Obasanjo's time, he was big on cassava. I think he had some policies. I'm not very sure right now how far they went with those policies. We've always known that cassava was a commodity that would bring us foreign exchange, right? But I really do not know why his policies and plans were not in continuum, because he was already making, some impact when it came to cassava. You see anybody who's selling land, we're planting cassava. It was a vibe. So for me, it's not a new conversation. It's just that now we need to ask ourselves, what do we have in our hands as Nigerians? The crude obviously has failed us, not because God has not replenished it, but because we have mismanaged it. There's a lot of stolen crude. Even when we catch the people who are stealing it, we blow it up. The one we're supposed to sell and make money, we can't refine ourselves. So we have made a mess of that natural resources. Now we have to start looking, what other things can we do? That it's not just about government taking charge of it. We have seen how government will likely make a mess of it. But how can government partner with private people? This pineapple guy is a private person who's running a business. Are there any cassava farms? Are there anywhere we can empower farmers to go into this? It's not only cassava, cocoa. He mentioned cocoa here. He mentioned palm oil. Let's not just pick one product and just sit on it. Let's diversify. We are rich in natural resources. Our gold is being thrown away in places like Zamfara. Foreign people are coming there, illegal mining with helicopters. We know these things, but we're not ready. So let's open the conversation away from crude oil and see what we can do. And I hope that this miracle that we have, started suspecting would happen, that the people who, with the government, will not think because this is not coming from us, let us silence it. Because that's also another aspect that affects us.
Recently, my husband has a product he was trying to work on, and we had to go sit down with the company, an Indian company. And he was willing to work with us. He said, you know what? Nigeria has been good to us. We repatriate billions of dollars every year.
Our money.
Now, to him, he was trying to say that he's so happy that Nigeria has been here over 100 years. And he was saying it with pride. But me and my husband, we were really sad.
Did you see the picture of the grandfather,
father? Yeah, we're quite sad. So your company, over 100 years old in this country, has been taking billions of dollars. We don't really focus on the fact that even almost all the major companies we have, many of them that are foreign,
Indians.
They are carrying this our money dollar out.
Yeah,
that's what's removing. We're now fighting that naira is 1,000 naira. Why would it not be 1,000 naira? But there's scarcity. Even the cable stations we have, many of these don't belong to us. The phones, what they call it, the companies we have, some of them are not Nigerian.
Even
so they carry the revenue out.
Yeah.
They don't even bring the dollar here so that we do any kind of exchange. We still do not have dollar. The only commodity that brings dollar in is our petroleum. And this world order, whatever that, that professor explained to us, ensures that it is traded in dollars. So it doesn't enrich us. We have the resources, but it's not going to empower our people. Yesterday, my neighbor was complaining that everything is expensive. Nigerians are suffering. And they were saying, are we going to continue like this? And I said, sadly, we are going to continue like this because we don't have anything to exchange for this so-called currency that is superior to everything. What Ayo is saying is, when I checked out cassava is the root for most things. Spirits, beer, beverages, so many. You can get so many resources from cassava. That's why when Obasanjo tried to float it, they started with cassava flour. To ensure that we have cassava baking. They popularized it. This agency was working. I'm trying to remember the name. Was working. They were doing the adverts on TV, encouraging people to stop from the regular wheat flour to cassava flour as an alternative. And we know that when we export this thing, we then insist this is the currency for trading. It doesn't come under this so-called world order. Except our people are still looking, to buy, to import foreign tastes and, elite products that we usually source dollar for. But if we insist, the naira will eventually start to gain strength. That's the good for me. That's the only thing I want to see. I want to live a lifetime where people would respect the naira again. And if we can do that with commodifying this,
so I'm told Bengali is on standby. Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll discuss with Mr. Bakare. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Now we have with us on the show Mr. Ayodeji Bakare. Good morning, Ayodeji.
Good morning, Morayo. Good morning, Nigeria.
Thank you for joining us this morning. So, you somewhat accosted the president in America. Uncle, why didn't you just write a letter to the president? Why did you feel the need to, enter into him while he was walking to share your thoughts? Tell us about that experience.
Well, I would say it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and I took the bull by its horn. I knew what I wanted to say specifically because we all can admit, we know that the Naira is faltering, and how can I fix that problem? And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to leave where I stay and go to New York and have just that 15 seconds. I needed just 10 to 15 seconds to pass my information across, and I clearly stated those words, so it keeps on ringing a bell in the minds of the president and that of his team. Commodification
Of the Naira.
Naira,
Cassava.
and then that commodity called cassava. So those three, I strongly believe that as I said that, I've planted that seed in the team.
No pun intended.
So they know what I'm
So tell Nigerians what you mean by it. Let's now discuss it. Tell us what you mean by it.
Okay, so basically, it is just saying, I want cassava to be traded in the Naira, and I want Naira to be backed by cassava. Now, why am I saying cassava? I'm saying this because Nigeria produces about 25% of the global cassava, but we don't play internationally. We produce about...
Yikes. Hello? Ayodeji, we can't hear you. Oh, yikes. Hello? Okay, I think we're having...
National market.
Ayodeji, we didn't hear you. All we heard was 25%. Hello? Ayodeji, you have to start over, please.
What did you say?
We didn't hear you. All we heard was Nigeria produces 25% of cassava globally, and we don't play internationally. That's all we heard. We didn't hear anything else. So please start over.
Okay. We actually produce 25% of the total cassava in the world. And that's about 63 to 65 million metric tons. Now, we don't play internationally. And we have the comparative advantage. And I'm like, why can't we trade cassava in the Naira by playing internationally? Because if you look at Malaysia, for example, palm oil is traded in Malaysian ringgit because Indonesia and Malaysia are countries that produce the most palm oil globally. About 90% of the global palm oil, they produce it. And then you look at Brazil, Brazilian real, that is what is used to trade beef, which is selling for about 16 real per kg today as we speak. And then the dollar is used to trade crude oil. That's at $94 per barrel today. So I'm like, if Nigeria, because cassava is widely grown in Nigeria with little to no efforts per se. I'm like, why can't we play in that atmosphere? And why can't we use that to stabilize the Naira? Because it's related to monetary policy. This is monetary policy. I want the Naira to be stable. Let me make this clear. I'm not really bothered about Naira being strong or weak. Okay. I just want the Naira to be stable so that it boosts investor confidence, both local and foreign investors. Thank you.
Yeah. So I like what you just said. We want the Naira to be strong and reliable as well. But do you think that the issue we had with the crude oil, for instance, was because we're not able to properly position ourselves in the international markets, or the fact that we allowed corruption? Because if there was no corruption, do you think we'll be where we are today? And how do you think also that we can, start to commodify this cassava and probably other produce without falling into the same trap we fell into with the crude oil?
Thank you very much. This is a very fantastic question. And I would say Nigeria suffered from what is called the Dutch disease. I repeat again, the Dutch disease in the 70s, where we stumbled upon lots of crude oil and we forgot about our manufacturing and our agriculture. And that was as a result of the Israeli and Arab War in the early 1970s, and they placed an embargo on Arab oil. And by that happening, we had lots of money, and the leader at the time said, it's not about how much we make, it's how to spend it, that's our problem. So with crude oil, we've already made that mistake already. Now, with cassava, already agriculture controls about 25%, or 22 to 25% of our GDP. Cassava also, commodifying cassava is saying, hey, we are strong here. We want to play in the big market here. Cassava also, it's a domino effect. It is not something that we're just going to wake up and say, hey, start trading. We have to show that we can produce that amount of cassava, because even though we have comparative advantage, we are doing, I would say, not so well or not so great in our yield. Currently, Nigeria's yield on cassava is about 10 metric tons per hectare. Now, we should be doing about 40 metric tons per hectare. Now, even if we're not doing so well or whatever, we should be doing 20, but we are doing 10. So we have to show that we can actually produce that amount of cassava. Cassava has lots of derivatives, which maybe during this conversation we'll get there. But we have to, we just have to ensure that we put all the necessary things in place to show that, yes, we have the capacity to produce it first. We have to produce the cassava first.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we can now say, okay, yes, we can play in the international, because the whole idea is to play in the international game.
Right. Okay. Let me get a few more questions for
we
you.
already have satisfied our...
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Go ahead.
from your response, really, it's like answering the question I was supposed to ask. And is that there's some things that we have to put on ground, before we can say we are trading internationally with this particular product. I mean, I just got some information that's saying that there's potential to earn annually 2.98 billion naira if we were to properly do this, from cassava. I'm looking at this vis-a-vis all the investments we're asking to do with our moribund, refineries, and the way we're talking about, we don't have the money to even put into this. How much of money, how much loan do we need to get to put into this moribund refineries? Maybe now we should be looking at how to use that money and invest in the cassava industry and see how it yields us money, and then the returns from it we can put into our refineries, So there's diversification and also earning enough money to be able to do other things. What do you think?
Now, one of the derivatives of cassava, one of the key derivatives is ethanol. For example, you can make ethanol from cassava, you can make ethanol from corn. Now, what is ethanol? Ethanol is basically liquor. And what is the liquor or the alcohol? Just add the ethanol with derivatives and sweeteners and all of that. Now, what you come to find out is that already, if we have that cassava coming in, or we're producing that much cassava, you would see a spawn of events whereby people will come and want to invest in refining that cassava into ethanol. And then we're going to have distilleries coming into Nigeria because the raw material is here. So rather than going to, because Nigeria spends about $300 million importing liquor, alcohol beverages and all of that annually, at least $300 million.
Wow.
So they are going to come and want to invest in Nigeria. Yes, they are going to come and want to invest in Nigeria because the raw materials is not readily available. So it is about refining the cassava into ethanol, because today ethanol sells for about $2.39 per gallon. We are not playing in the ethanol market worldwide. Ethanol can also be used for our petrol. We call it gasoline or petrol or fuel, where you add about 10% so that it can burn cleaner, and then it's going to help the environment. You have a cleaner environment, and as such, you are going to increase the lifespan of Nigeria. So it is just multifaceted of how this can work. So that's why I just gave the example of it. This is a revolution. It could be our agriculture. It could be our revolution that we've been talking about. It is. Let us not. I understand sesame seeds, corn, and so many. Because wheat, for example, because wheat is a competitor. Nigeria imports 99% of its wheat, and that is why when there is any issue as regards wheat, you're like, oh, the people that are producing bread are going to increase our prices. Everything is all going up, and everything is all expensive. But what about the wheat blending with the cassava flour? That will bring down the price. So it's a domino effect.
Right. Let me get a few more questions.
I hope I'm able to use the narrative to answer your question.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Mr. Ayo, let me be formal. Some people will argue that the country needs dollars, and whether we trade cassava in dollar or naira doesn't matter, because what they want is dollars to offset this dollar debts that we have across the country. Our airlines are shouting, foreign airlines are shouting that Nigeria has not paid back some of the dollars that they've used to trade to come here to work and all of that. How would you respond to those who say it doesn't matter whether naira or dollar, let's just trade and get the foreign the FX that we need?
Now, thank you for this particular question. It's a very philosophical and psychological question, in the sense that the people that are talking this way, respectfully, are still thinking from an importation mindset. We have to get off that and start thinking exportation, because when you keep worrying about Forex, we need Forex. What do you need Forex for? You need Forex to import, for the most part. That is like, it could be educational tourism, it could be buying materials into the country. But now imagine when there's a demand for our naira. Imagine when our naira is boosting investor confidence. So an investor looks at it and says, oh, they're trading in naira here. I like this currency. The currency is stable. Because let me say something here. According to the Big Mac Index, naira should be trading for between 650 and 700 naira. That is the true value of the naira today. And the Minister for Finance, or the Ministry of Finance and CBN, can agree with me on this. It is 650 to 700 naira. That is the true value of the naira. What we are seeing today is the artificial scarcity. We are seeing currency speculation. We are seeing round tripping. A lot of people have lost confidence in the naira, so they are going to go and mop up the dollar. And that is jacking up the prices. So I would say, in this case, imagine people demanding our naira. We want to go and buy cassava globally. We have to change that, our currency, into naira to buy that cassava. We want to sell. We are the ones selling naira, so it's going to come free. So look at it that way. Imagine crude oil being sold in naira, and tell me how that would do to our economy. Now say, okay, it's crude oil. Now remove the crude oil, even though they start with C, the letter C. Now put cassava there. Now let's begin to think that way. Cassava industry already is about 50 billion. And they predict that in the next 20 to 30 years, it's going to go to hundreds of billions of dollars. So this is the time to start planning to play in that market. Right. We have the comparative advantage, and that's why I said cassava. Thank you.
Bangali, let me come to the critics of the president who have said that going around looking or shopping for FDI is not the right approach, because many believe that when they come into the country, they're likely to, even probably if their revenue is likely to, they're going to ship out their revenue back to the individual countries. That he shouldn't be looking for FDI. The fact that he's going around to India, UAE, having conversation with them, even to the US, talking to all these big companies. Do you think that is wrong? His supporters are saying, however, even though they might not come in with the FDI, but it's important for the the Nigerian posture to tell to the international community that they are ready for business, that it's not like business is not like before, how there was corruption and all that, that he is here for business. So what do you think, what do you make of his plan or his strategy of getting foreign direct investment into the country from these various countries?
Okay, so now let us look at it this way. What is FDI? FDI is foreign direct investment. What is LDI? Local direct investment. It's just saying, if I want to do business, I want to make profit. Just think of it like, oh, I want to go into an air business, I want to go into a car business. You put money into it, you want to make profit. FDIs just want to make profit. But we need the funds, we need the finance of the FDIs to create jobs for Nigerians. Because they cannot create jobs. The government can only create an enabling environment through security, through infrastructure, the right policies, the right regulation, and working on our multiple taxation. So those are the things that the government will do to improve ease of doing business and attract investors. We need those investors. I want him to go out there and go and source for more money. Okay, now we are complaining that we don't have dollars, we don't have forex. Where do you think the forex will come from? It's going to come from foreign direct investments. It's going to come from foreign portfolio investments. It's going to come from grants. It's going to come from the diaspora, and it's going to come from exports. So I disagree with the people. I understand where they're coming from, but I disagree with them when you're saying that they're critiquing why it's going for looking for FDIs, looking for investors. We need investors. Companies don't just spring up from nowhere. We need them to bring their money to come and do business in Nigeria. Remember, it is when value is added to a raw material or a semi-finished good that jobs are created. You add value, and the investor is going to come in and definitely is going to be adding value to whatever material or product is making and or manufacturing. And that is why I believe it's on the right track. Go to the UAE, go to the US, go to Europe, go to Australia, like when I spoke with the minister, Dele Alake, I think the next day, we talked about solid minerals. We talked about a bunch of very different things, and especially solid minerals. We're seeing what it's doing, exchange, that is educational programming with Nigeria and Australia, because Australia is really big in mining. By doing that also, you are trying to say also Nigeria is also open for business. Now, it is just, we're a market. People come and buy our market. Yeah. That's it pretty much. Bring your money, come and buy our market. That's it.
Yeah, so some persons have said that we are trying to jump the gun by not handling the most important issues first, which is insecurity. We know that we have a bit of a food scarcity in some parts of the country right now because farmers have been sacked from their farms. Everybody is relocating, they are being kidnapped, they are being killed. So even if we say, let's bring back this cassava, the farms that are going to be used for the cassava planting will require locals to handle that sort of, production. And if we don't sort the insecurity issues, we may still end up in having the same problem and not getting any headway. If a farm, no matter the technology that's deployed there, the mechanisms that are used there, and people are not ready to work because they're afraid of their lives, we may not be able to get anywhere. What do you think about it?
Cows eat cassava.
Yes, and cows eat cassava as well.
Okay, thank you very much for this question. This is a very sensitive question. And to the the ladies that were kidnapped in Zamfara, our thoughts and prayers are with you all and your families, and we hope that we are rescued. Now, to the case of insecurity. Insecurity is caused majorly by not having the right education, not having the right employment. Those are the two major reasons why you have insecurity. And maybe not having enough social welfare programs, basically. Those are the three things here. Now, we've always been bedeviled with these issues. I really don't want to dwell on them because most Nigerians already know that we have this insecurity problem. Now, it is how do we solve this insecurity problem? Now, there are two ways of solving the problem. You have administrative solutions and engineered solutions. These people causing the insecurity, you have to bring them to the table. Now, let me give an example. This is just my idea. It may not work at all, but I hope the government is listening to me. We talk about banditry in the north, for example. Banditry majorly is caused by this illegal mining. I say it any and everywhere. You can say it, some certain people fighting against themselves for, what's it called, for ethnic reasons and all of that. But it is basically that illegal mining. Why don't you call these guys that are doing this illegal mining, that are the bandits and all of that? Tell them, go and create a company. Be the middleman. Let's formalize you. Let's formalize you. Let's beautify you. Go and create your own office and be the middleman. Drop your arms. You may have solved that problem by telling them, drop your arms. We know you are doing this. Well, create a company. Now, the engineered solution, obviously, is using force. We need more education. We need to provide employment for these people. Now, with that being said, even with the arable land that we have, how many people are actually farming? What is paid?
Right.
How many of us are actually farming?
No, two.
Let us look at places that are not in this security.
Right.
These red security areas and all of that. The places that are green. Have we maximized the potentials of these areas?
Right.
Let's maximize the potential.
Unfortunately,
of these
Bongali,
areas
I have to cut you at this time. We've run out of time. Our next guest is already on standby. I do apologize. But we need to bring you back on because I think there's so much we can still engage you on to discuss. Maybe we'll bring you as often as possible. But it was really, really nice of you to join us this morning. I know it's still 4 a.m.-ish where you are. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Go back to sleep now, sir.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we're bringing another guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So the Delta State government, through the Office of the Human Trafficking and Illicit Drugs, raided a popular hotel along New Road in Sapele and a brothel at Ogun-Aja area in its effort to ensure the drug-free society in Sapele. There was a video that went viral showing sex workers, alleged sex workers, as well as suspected drug found in the hotel and also in the brothel. Now, the video had gone viral and many had condemned the manner in which the girls were interrogated by the police. To give us more clarity on what happened, we have with us the DSP Bright Edafe, PPRO Delta State Police Command, will be with us. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning. I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, could you give us an idea of what happened with this raid at the brothel in Sapele?
Okay, unknown to me that I saw it online and I was not pleased about it. I immediately called the CEO of Sapele, who told me that it was SAs that led men to that protest. And I was wondering who are the armed men within, because police are not trained to treat people that way. So the DPO made me to understand that the man actually went there with the vigilante, which I requested for his number and called him, and he also confirmed it, though he was bitter about it because I told him those girls too, they have their rights, and you can't even record them and put it on social media. We are still on it. That matter has not been put to rest because I also discussed that issue with the CP this morning, and the CP has said he would invite the SSA drugs for further questioning on that incident, especially to see that such occurrence does not repeat itself.
Help me understand.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Mariam.
Please help us understand. Was this a police raid or was this an individual that took police or other security operatives to the brothel?
There is a task force. The task force set up. against drug and sex work. So that task force has been
Task force.
drugs. So he was the one who went there task force to that place.
So it's still government. A task force empowered by government to carry out raids?
You know, in Delta State, we have, you know, this issue of gun is around the government party about it. So the task force set up by the state government to go against serious drug abuse and also sex working. So that task force is being head.
This is what we're rushing for.
If I can hear you clearly, sir, the governor set up a task force to clear out, you know, some of these vices popular now in the Delta State, including drugs, prostitution, and all of that. And so that task force carried out the raid.
Exactly.
Okay, but do they have a code of conduct on how to carry out these raids?
I believe they do, but I called them yesterday to that's not the way to.
Well, we're having trouble hearing you properly. It's really difficult to listen to what you're saying. But I think we get an idea. So he's saying it's not the police. However, he's still saying that the police is concerned about what happened and they're trying to review how it was done. Many Nigerians were concerned about how the girls were being asked their age and all, even though they are, and
what is most annoying is how their faces were shown. They could have, you know, paraded them, but because it's not police, of course, I want to believe these people don't have the proper training. They could have paraded them, you know, facing the wall and interrogating them if they must. But putting the cameras in their faces is a long-term damage to their personality. I don't support prostitution, neither do I support any immorality. I'm just saying, what if they change their lifestyle tomorrow and they want to move on with their lives? What you have done is damage the chances of having a life at all, because you've put their faces, I see.
No, I'm even wondering...
Well, since he's still on the phone, could you tell us... Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I just
want to ask a question.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to also know the task force. Are they just allowed to also parade whoever it is that they arrest? Are they allowed to do that? And
they were not even parading. I just believe that they were just being overzealous. Because after that operation, they took the girls to Sapele police station.
Okay.
Because they know that they don't have the power to prosecute them if there is any reason for them to be prosecuted. They took them to Sapele police station. But what I see there is that members of the task force and the vigilantes who are accompanying them were just being overzealous, not knowing their rules of engagement. They were not parading them. They don't have the right to parade them.
Okay, so now that they were overzealous and they paraded them, what will happen to the task force? How would you handle it so that this does not happen again? Because where there's no law, there's no sin.
Exactly why I said the SSA drugs will meet with the CP today on that issue. We have already extended an invitation to him to come and answer to what transpired.
Okay, so what's the actual modus operandi for stuff like this? Because we know it is in the government's interest to protect citizens from drug abuse and all this illicit activity. So when they want to raid, what exactly is the procedure supposed to be like?
First, they are supposed to go with the accompanying of policemen.
Okay.
They are supposed to be assisted by policemen who understand the rules of engagement.
Okay.
Then after arresting them, take them to the nearest police station, do a proper screening, and those that are found culpable will be charged to court. Why? Before I became a PRO, we've been doing that. There was a time where about 15 of them spent their Christmas and New Year in the prison. So it has been happening, but it has to be done properly.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. We just wanted to get clarity on that because that video was quite disturbing. But let me let you go, PRO. Thank you very much for joining us. But I'd like to hear your own views on this, because this is not the first time we've seen things like this. And we need to talk more about it to get people to stop this parade, especially some of them look like they're underage. Is it me? Or?
Okay, so we know brothels are bad business, immoral business, and, you know, they are operated across board. But somebody can be unlucky and find themselves stranded, and that's the place to sleep. You know, because they are humans, they could have just been rendering help to one of the girls who slept there, who wasn't expecting a raid to happen. You put a camera in their face and you slap them, you know, demean them in your language, we as a people, even if it wasn't, this was a task force empowered by the governor in Delta State, according to the PRO now. This was we should be human, you know, arrest them. If there's a law against prostitution, arrest them. If there's a law against operating a brothel, why is there a brothel in Delta State in the first place?
And who are those visiting the brothel?
I know brothels for Ogun-Aja Road. They plenty where. So if there's a law against it, and I know there are laws against it, but nobody is enforcing it. We as a people we don't enforce.
Who is going to arrest them?
You know, so we can't blame the girls for being there.
So it's easy
entirely
to arrest the girls.
Yeah.
We didn't see any guys there. Right?
Low-hanging fruits.
Yeah, that is.
So they raided when they may probably arrest him, so that, you know, patronage will be maybe later in the day. But they raided during the morning when the girls are resting, sleeping, when no customer. And then you put cameras in their faces, you're slapping them. It's one-sided.
You really wanted to raid, you raid at night.
You raid at night, you carry both parties. Patronage
you raid when you think it's the best time to raid a place and catch them unawares. But also, I think there are two things we should look at here. We have the police PRO speaking. So usually, you know, we'll be blaming police for this sort of behavior where we feel that you're not putting into consideration everything, human rights and things like that. But this is the police saying that even us, we think this was done wrong. So good, you know, coming from the police. But then also the task force. Is it enough to just gather a group of people and say you are now task force? And then when you do you train them? You need to. We need to train our people. Yeah, I know, but we need to train people to understand what is, what they can be doing wrong in trying to enforce the law. So these people we may say overzealous, but in their opinion, they think, look at what we're doing for government, look at what we're doing for our people. But if we haven't taught them that there is a way that you need to conduct yourself or conduct an arrest, then we'll find ourselves having this discussion. And then they're saying that it was like a drug raid or something like that. So
NDLA too should have followed.
Should have been there. Task force
is not empowered for a drug raid.
Exactly. So obviously, so task force was totally wrong here. If it was a drug issue, you should have invited NDLA. If it was a brothel, you should have invited the police so that they go with you to raid the place. You don't just go there and just.
Well, what about the chances of further abuse? Because, you know, we always think they are prostitutes, so they are less human beings, lesser human beings. And so arresting them, taking them does not guarantee that their rights were followed in the release. Right. How do we know whether they were not made to pay with their bodies or pay, you know, cash to get released? This is an entire abusive episode for me, just watching it. I think proper things should be done. And if the governor empowered this task force to do this and they've just messed up, they must be made to do a public apology to the girls. So, even though we're not supporting what they do,
now the raid that
they're truly patronizing.
You're carrying out, to what end? Is there any plans for rehabilitation for these girls? So you say it's a crime to do this sort of business, and now you have roped all of the young girls out together. Where are you taking them to? Even after release, are you releasing them into the world again to go back? Because they will find another space to continue doing the business. Do you have... So the thing is, we usually jump into things without properly thinking it through and having solution-oriented plans to sort of help the society and help these people. You release them, you take them to the police station, some people will have their way with them, they go back, they resume that business. If we go back in the next few months, you see that that's establishment is still working. Customers are still going.
They were not ready to help them. They were ready to embarrass them.
Wow.
It wasn't about solving anything with those girls.
It doesn't make sense
about just embarrassing them.
If you comment on social media as well. There probably comments on the previous topic is also okay. Let us just let Nigerians get involved.
So Andrew says many of those girls look under 18 to me. They looked so young. I was scared. You know, when we were growing up, the people we used to see that stay in those places used to be elderly women with their red lipstick. You know, you would see elderly grandmas doing the business. But when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, these girls should be in school.
I was wondering how she saw them, the elderly women.
No, when we're growing up, you know when you're going to school now, you know their areas now. You see them, they'll come out and be calling young Delta State Asaba. They come out and be calling young boys. You see them. They are elderly women. But I saw young girls, I'm like, I'm weeping for.
The ones that we see here at Alakija, they are young girls.
Back in the day?
There's one I saw a month ago on my way back from the hospital. And she looked so underage.
Oh, God.
I swore, I said, this girl, they've just brought her. She was speaking Igbo. I said, this girl has just been deceived. Probably told by someone that I'm going to help you, and she has run away from home. We're just looking. Because he was a brother, I dare not accost anybody. I drive past JJJ. They are all around.
Let me take this call. Gloria calling from Warri. Thanks for calling.
Yes. Please, though, the old passport, maybe one of them is the customer. Although first time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Because Taskforce in Delta State, both the one they put in roads, all of them, they are not properly trained.
Oh.
They are misbehaving anyhow, including the road ones. They will harass you, stand in your front for no reason. They will just say rubbish out of their mouth because they are not properly trained. Yeah. Especially the ones in Zoo Road. Especially the ones in Zoo Road. Those Taskforce, those government Taskforce, they are, in fact, they are agberos. They are just giving a T-shirt written Taskforce on them. That is how they behave.
Thank you. So it's possible. She's right. One of the
an experience of a citizen, resident of Delta State. I just hope the governor is watching today. Yeah. Because before they will rubbish your entire administration, this is post-election employment. Oh yeah, group you, task force, group you, this, that, group you, that.
Go and harass
but look at the embarrassment that is starting because now you're putting people in, creating jobs for your people.
That's an assumption.
I'm just saying.
An assumption that this task force was just created.
PRO just said, let me put my matter in context and reach a conclusion. Please. I want to build the premise that a task force was created by the government and they are the ones who went to carry out this raid without the necessary security agency collaboration.
Yes. We're just
he just said so. Okay. But this embarrassment, the governor can avoid it.
Yes,
Let me speak.
By training these people, if you have to give them jobs.
If they are not even working as they should, they're not presenting the right image of your administration, let them go.
Train them.
But then what's now? Unemployed trained officers.
Where are they?
Because they are security.
Because you still need task forces. Because if you remove the brothel issue, there's a drug issue across the nation. Yes, and they need these guys on the ground to do this.
They jump in front of cars.
Because they lack training.
They operate, they carry on.
So can I get them properly trained?
You can employ properly trained people.
Where are they?
They Delta. You see, they find work.
Let's not even like that. Even the ones that are trained, don't they jump in front of cars?
God bless you.
What are you talking about?
Even the professors in university, when they sleep with children with their
sister.
Let me take them.
Sack him. Employ one that will do well.
Okay.
If one is going to raid,
let me hear Maria for a second.
People not vest.
I have a call.
Sack him.
Okay, I have a call with you. Go ahead. Let me tell the children.
Yes, I was going to say this is where we're now going to go. I'll take you back to our conversations every time on education. The need for proper and quality education at primary and secondary school level. When you do that, you're already educating and training your task force, your labor market. So when these people come, at least they have a certain idea of what they are meant to do. They are educated to secondary school level. You join the task force, you give them extra training for that particular job that they are meant to do. But our children are not going to good schools. There are no good teachers. Yeah. They are not the secondary schools, and they are dropping out. That is what you will find. If you say sack them, where will you get the others from? Exactly. Those who even get proper education, you think they want to be joining task force? They want to go to the bank.
Jobs.
Thank you.
They want to Japa. Let me take Sulaiman. Good morning, Sulaiman. I'm not responding. You're live. Go ahead, please, Sulaiman.
Those task force, are they not the product of Delta State?
Yes.
You might know what I'm saying, and obviously, is it easy for somebody in Delta State to control? See, the youth of Delta State, you can't just come and smile to them and say, "Can you are under arrest? You are going with me."
True.
For that video you are seeing, they didn't parade those girls. It was somebody that video that he put it online and post it. It's not those personnel that paraded those girls. Did they call any national TV to come and video and send it to show it to the public? They did not parade them publicly. That is their office. And don't think that it's easy to control people from that. As somebody come from Warri, he was making noise, say they are disturbing. Is Warri person easy to control?
They're not.
Can you tell me
castigate a whole. I think that's generalization.
And then
you cannot just.
And I think Solomon should also know that even the police have disagreed with what happened. So it's not just like someone took a picture, a video, and left. Also, the way they were treated, they were slapped around. Yes. At least we should see that. So they were being controlled by force. We saw that. Even if Warri people cannot be controlled, they can control them by force.
Why would anybody say Warri people cannot be controlled?
I don't
want to say that even though the video might have been done by one person. Did anybody come to say we disannounce deny the government
disclaimer? Yeah.
No, I'm talking on government side now.
We dissociate
Somebody to
ourselves from
reject
this,
that behavior, the video, the way they were treated. Nobody has spoken against the comportment of the officials.
Until this conversation.
Except the PRO now. I'm talking of the person who created the office.
Taskforce, yes.
The person they report
dissociate itself from the fact that this video was leaked. Yes.
Obviously, they don't even know that they are meant to dissociate.
So it's wrong.
We have to.
But an average worry person is not easy to bamboozle.
At all.
Would you say
If you
that?
drop for front of car, if you enter car, they go carry.
They go carry, they go. I don't carry person, they go like that.
But it's not. But we are just laughing at something serious.
Yeah.
I believe
We need
that
to do better.
Leaving and retraining a badly behaved person in service is to ensure that person continues.
So when they carry you, go, you
tradition.
not take the person to your house.
You go lie where you don't know.
The lady
It was
begged
not
me.
that said that woman said the
I
police
carried
officer
somebody
was on someone's car. They don't they carry me go where I don't know. They asked
Jump
everything
inside my
I
car.
them.
And then a woman.
What happened? So where did you take the
Jump
person?
inside
Now
my
you
car.
go better
Yes.
come
Where
out.
did you drive to?
Yes.
Where did you drive to?
I was just going home and I was going to Ota. You know my side that time was that area.
Wait, the
Well,
person
I
did
got
not
point
have
and
a
I wore
gun.
boots.
The person didn't have a
No,
gun.
she didn't have a gun. It
Well,
was a
that's
lady.
what-
I expected her to understand. She just opened door and jumped inside car.
They just going.
So we started going.
At what point did she come down?
She started,
Begging.
Madam, where are we going to? so when she entered, she saw my boots. She saw me
felt
wearing
it.
high ankle boots.
See why Nigerians are difficult to govern. You people are so difficult
She's
to govern.
so worried, that's
Eh?
why.
I don't understand.
But you know, she couldn't have been pretending
Exactly.
about it.
Now, why do I have
She
to come here and come and be acting all
That
safe?
funny video.
You don't
that
jump into
the
my
police
car like
officer
that.
was shouting in the car. They don't they carry me go. I don't know.
That was the gate.
But you see, do we want a nation or do we want a banana republic?
Train
The
people.
people should train your
must-
people.
we must
Train your
train
officials.
Train your
Train them
officials
to
and
do the right thing.
Somebody just said, like, if I train my officials to be speaking English, they will not listen to the English.
no,
That's not English we're saying now. You can train them to be properly in their local language.
Yeah.
We need the task force because these are grassroots.
Yes.
But
have to.
must it be English that you teach someone how
to speak all the
At
time.
least you're arrested, you're under arrest.
Yes.
Please, let's go
You can say
together.
to your
Madam, I
language.
beg, calm down, eh? I beg, calm down. You don't commit. Just calm down. May we talk.
Will they answer you?
Yes. May we talk.
Don't
Just calm
commit.
down. May we talk. You don't go fly enter car. You don't know whether the person drink that day.
That is all.
Just put iron for
That's all we can take on today's show, please. See you tomorrow. Bye. Let the person don't drink.
People call it.